Imagine discovering something so revolutionary that it changed humanity's understanding of the universe, only to be dragged into court for it. This is the story of Galileo Galilei. Born in Italy in 1564, Galileo was fascinated by mathematics and the heavens. In the early 1600s, he improved the telescope and turned it toward the night sky. What he saw would challenge beliefs that had existed for centuries. Through his telescope, Galileo discovered mountains on the moon, countless new stars, and 4 moons orbiting Jupiter. These observations suggested that not everything revolved around the Earth. At the time, most scholars and church authorities supported the ancient teachings of Aristotle and the Earth-centered model of the universe. According to this view, Earth stood motionless while the sun and planets moved around it. But Galileo became convinced that a different theory was correct. Proposed decades earlier by Nicolaus Copernicus, it claimed that Earth and the other planets actually revolved around the sun. To Galileo, the evidence seemed undeniable. However, many powerful figures viewed this idea as dangerous. Some believed it contradicted scripture and threatened the authority of long-established teachings. In 1616, church officials warned Galileo not to promote the sun-centered theory as fact. For several years, he remained cautious. But in 1632, he published a book called Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems. Although the book presented both sides of the debate, it clearly favored the Copernican model. The reaction was swift. Galileo, now nearly 70 years old and suffering from poor health, was summoned to Rome to face the Roman Inquisition. After months of questioning, he stood trial in 1633. Under intense pressure, Galileo was forced to publicly deny his support for the theory that Earth moved around the sun. He was found guilty of vehement suspicion of heresy. Instead of spending the rest of his life in prison, Galileo was sentenced to house arrest. For the next 9 years, he lived under constant supervision. Yet even then, he continued his scientific work and wrote important books that would influence generations of scientists. Galileo died in 1642, never seeing his ideas fully accepted. But history had the final word. Over time, new discoveries proved that Galileo had been right. Today, he is remembered not as a criminal, but as one of the fathers of modern science. A man who dared to follow the evidence, even when the world refused to believe him. Sometimes, the truth does not win immediately, but eventually it changes everything.